Hey, thanks for watching today. This video is an introduction to Ohio's sheriff's auctions, and this is something we've added to Parcel Fair recently. We've been researching it and we're new to it also, and so it's an introduction based on what we've learned so far and what we've seen in these auction inventories. So what we want to do is go over how they work and then switch over and talk about how to actually find these using the auction website and how to research the properties before you buy. So let's get going. So first off, how do the Ohio Sheriff's auctions work? So these auctions occur year-round and they are held at the county level. So most of the counties seem to hold at least one auction per month, sometimes more than one. Some of them have them almost every week. The auctions we're talking about today are held online. This is most of the state are on realauction.com. We'll cover that in a minute. The format for the auction is a premium bid format where the price bids up from a starting opening bid, and as you may expect in a normal auction, the bidders will bid higher amounts until there's a winning bid awarded the property. And there's no redemption period for these properties sold, and we'll go over some more of that in a minute, but basically a lot of times people are looking at tax delinquent property, especially wondering what is the redemption situation. So these are going to be in that no redemption period category. And that's a good chance to explain that sheriff's auctions, these are not always from tax delinquency. So basically, some of the properties in these are sold because of tax deeded foreclosures. And these are basically Ohio tax liens that have passed their redemption period. And other properties sold at the sheriff's auction are actually just from normal foreclosures, like a mortgage or a lender who's foreclosing on a property. And the reason this is important, like the main distinction on this is going to be how the opening bid is calculated. And what I mean by that is that like a tax deed foreclosure, that opening bid is going to be based on the taxes owed, and the calculation will be taxes owed plus probably some other fees and interest and penalties that are going to come together for an opening bid that will be agreed on before the auction. Whereas the foreclosures opening bids, those are going to be based starting at the amount that's owed to a lender. It's going to not really have to do with the taxes so much as whatever the foreclosure situation may be in that unique case. So the opening bids, they come from different places here. And on the subject of opening bids, a little bit of trivia for you. We've seen that some of the counties picked up a rule where the opening bid is going to be at least 2/3 of the property's assessed value to go in the auction. So that's just something you might see while you're looking at understanding the opening bid. So there are other ways to buy Ohio tax delinquent property that we're not going to demonstrate today, but I will explain at a high level just so you know that we do have Ohio tax liens. And most of these counties in Ohio do not offer tax liens to the public, but those tax liens are going to be issued and held by the county for most of the counties until the redemption ends. So they literally take out a tax lien on a property and just hold it at the county level until that one-year redemption is over, and then they start to proceed with the foreclosure and then the foreclosure auction. So, however, some of those larger counties, they do sell tax liens to the public in a bulk format. And so those bulk purchases, they're made by large investors mainly because the minimum purchases are typically in the millions of dollars. So most of us don't have the millions of dollars to buy a bulk allotment of tax liens. So we're not going to be investing in Ohio because you really have to have a large sum to get started there. And they do offer 18% on those liens if you are thinking about spending millions on a bucket of those. It's a great interest rate. So switching gears, there's also land banks in Ohio, and there's actually quite a few, a very large land bank presence in Ohio. These are something we like to list on Parcel Fair as well. We have several states that have land banks where we've been able to learn the programs and share their inventories with you so you can have it as another option on how to buy a property. And that's all we're going to cover today on land banks because we don't have them in Parcel Fair yet. So stay tuned. We're going to be adding those in the future. I just want to have awareness that you do have land banks to buy from, and for some people you can buy Ohio tax liens if you have a large enough investment capital to start with. So let's recap the life cycle for an Ohio tax lien all the way through a sheriff's auction. And so we're basically taking a property that's tax delinquent. It may go to a bulk tax lien auction if it's one of the top 10 or 15 largest counties in the state. They have to be a really big county. And you're going to have 18% tax liens issued in that bulk fashion where someone buys maybe hundreds of these at a time, maybe even thousands, I don't know. They're going to use a bid down interest format at that auction, and there's a 1-year redemption. But most of what you see are going to be the second route here, which are tax liens that are issued to the county, and they're held by the county through the 1-year redemption, unless, of course, the owner redeems. So, in both of these cases, if the owner does not redeem in that year, we move on and begin the foreclosure process. And that begins after the 1-year redemption ends. And remember, we have other foreclosures that are going to merge into traffic here. And both of these paths are going to end up in sheriff's auctions. These are going to be tax deeds that are those tax liens that matured and passed redemption and now have been foreclosed into tax deeds, plus the other foreclosures that are not tax-based. And that's how we look at these sheriff's auctions, is the combination of those two. All right, so that gives you the basics on the investing in these sheriff's auctions. So let's switch gears and go to our live demo. So let's start off on Real Auction, which is where most of the counties have their sheriff's auctions hosted. There's other states too. So what we're going to do is go to realauction.com and then go to clients in the top right menu up here. Click on that. And you'll notice there are 4 products they offer: Real Foreclose, Real Tax Lien, Real TDA, Real TDM. If we were looking in something like, Florida for tax lien auctions, maybe Colorado, we would use Real Tax Lien. But we're going to use this Real Foreclose tab, the first tab, which covers tax deed and foreclosure auctions. And we want to see just Ohio. So let's click this Clients filter, select Ohio out of the bunch, click Submit, and we'll see 88 counties listed with different sheriff sales like this. And if we were going to click into one of these, I've opened a few ahead of time just to make sure they load fast. Like Stark County, you can go, and actually you'll go to the homepage right here, and you see a picture of the sheriff every time, and then you click the properties and the sale dates, and now you're going to see these sales that are scheduled on the calendar. This one has 2 in February, 2 more in March. You can see the number of properties. We can click into one auction at a time, and we're going to see 3 tables. There's the running auctions table, which is empty unless the auction is going on right this second. Oops. The auctions waiting, this is what we care about. These are the auctions that are scheduled to come up in the future. And there's a third table that's not here on this page because the third table handles anything that's been canceled or redeemed. I'll try to find one of those before we leave this video so you can see what that looks like. But basically we're looking through that, and you can go to another auction, just click next at the top, and you'll see, once this loads, you'll see the properties that are being advertised for the March 11th auction. And we'll be patient for another moment and see if it loads. Okay, this may be a problem on the site. Let's go back to the current. We're going to go to a different site, a different county, because that one is running very slow. So here is Lorain County, Ohio. Again, you'll enter on the page like this, and you'll see a picture of the sheriff, and then hit properties and sale dates. So you'll notice Lorain County has frequent auctions, and one pretty much every week this month. So what we're going to see there are 0 out of 2 remaining on this one, which means everything is redeemed. This one's 1 out of 2, 13 out of 17. Let's click on this one. It's got a lot of properties. You'll see nothing is in the running auctions because nothing's running right now. But the auctions waiting, we'd want to look at these properties. And there's not a ton of information here, and there's actually no links either. It doesn't link to the county site or anything. really you just get the parcel ID, the address, and basically appraisal and opening bid. You'll notice, here's a great example. The opening bid is pretty much exactly the 2/3 of the appraised value right there. So like I mentioned earlier, that little bit of trivia, they have set the opening bid at 2/3 of the appraised value here. But if we move down, you'll see that third table I mentioned, which are the closed or canceled. You'll see this one's rescheduled, which means it's just going to be later. The canceled ones are usually for redemption reasons or whatever has happened to take it out of the auction. So let's check out a couple more counties here. Adams County, you'll see the pattern here. We're looking at, here's March. They don't have anything scheduled in March right now, so let's go to the one auction here in February. There are 2 properties. A lot of these are going to be small. I included this last Cuyahoga County. I hope I pronounced that right. Here's the sheriff's sale or sheriff's auction page, and then properties and sale dates here, where you can see that they have more properties typically at auction in this county. So, for instance, we can click on this one that has 99 properties in it. The tricky part is you'll see that there's a little page next, page last. There's one on each of the 3 tables, and so they're all independent controls, which means if you click next on this middle table, it's just the middle table you're controlling. And so let's go to page 2. Well, we can look through there. Page 3. There's 10 pages, so we're just going to keep clicking through, and you can see all the properties in the auction that way. So if you wanted to bid on these properties, of course, you would need to create an account with the Real Auction Foreclosure site here, and you can go through their steps. They actually do a good job kind of holding your hand through, walking you through how to bid. But before, let's switch gears. Instead of talking about the bidding process, I want to talk about the research process of how we look at these. Using Parcel Fair is going to save you a ton of time. We put all the county auctions in one place on this calendar, so you can just see quickly how many properties in which county, in which auction, on which date. And then the best part is if you want to go, let's say, look at Summit. Let's say, do you want to see all the properties in Summit or just these 3 from auction? Well, let's start with map just the 3 from this auction. Let's see what happens. All right, so I have this big map and 3 properties. They're in the right-hand panel here, and I'm looking at, I can see the total value is $40,000 on that one, $97,000 and $57,000. The amount due is going to be that opening bid. So I might kind of like the, maybe this one at the bottom. I'm going to click Find on Map, which is going to zoom us right onto that property. And once the map unblurs, now we're looking at rooftops and actually able to see this property. And if I want to know more, I'm going to click on it and say Full Details. So now what I see is this report that tells me more about this property. I have the square feet, 1152. It's 0.1 acres. Total value, $57,000. I can see the breakdown of land versus improvements, which is going to be what's the land worth and what's the house worth separately. I can tell it's an occupied address, and I'm going to click on this panorama view on the side here underneath the street view to see what can Google show me in the area. I'm staring right at the house right there. Sometimes people like to check out the roof or the condition of the property. Other people may want to check out the neighborhood and see what it looks like, if it's grown over, if it's maybe there's trees hanging over the house. But this is a great way to scout a house without going to it. I will say before you tie up money in one of these, I would recommend seeing the house in person or have a scout get you some photos, because while this is a great way to figure out if the property fits what you're looking for, nothing beats a real-time update of boots on the ground, a photo of the property, someone looking at it. So while we're talking about researching a property, we can see that the owner address is the same as the parcel address, which implies that the owner probably lives there. And let's click on these Summit County links on the right under the research links section. The fiscal officer report is an interesting one because this is the county's, it's the fiscal officer giving you a report on the property and showing you whatever the county information have, like that extended sort of details about. You can see it's aluminum vinyl, A lot of just little details that each county tracks differently that you might want to dig in deeper. Central air, gas with forced air, breakdown of the appraisal. You can move on down to the sales history and just more information about the property. That all good things for you to consider. And then this side is great because on the left side you see all of these links to the different things that are going to be useful to you. Let's pick one. Let's go with the values first. I think that's just the breakdown of the values. We can take a look at the tax history and see year over year what's paid and what's not paid. Let's take a look at maybe Sketch will have something. It does. It has a sketch of the building and the floor plan and some other details about the detached garage, open frame porch. So these county sites are going to look different on every county, but they're going to be very helpful. We also linked to the GIS report here. This will take you directly to this property on the county's GIS map. So this is going to save you a lot of time having to find the parcel number, format it correctly, search for it, find this website. This is just going to take you straight to the property once it finishes loading. Now we have the property. So again, we're linking you into some rich county resources that are going to help you understand what you would be buying here, understand more about the property, and really ultimately cross-reference it back to what you see on Parcel Fair. If I like this property, what I might want to do is let's create a new list. I would like to make a Ohio auctions list. And we'll even put a 2024 on it. So that gives me a place where I can sort of track my work. So I'm going to say add to list. Let's put it in my Ohio auctions list. Cool. And I want to put some notes on here and say property to research or send the scouts. And now I'm tracking some notes on this property. And when my scout gets back to me, I can add the attachments here. If they have photos on the property, I'm going to put them on the website so I can have all of my information that I found about this property in one place. And that way I can come back and keep track of things using my lists and my notes and my attachments for things like photographs and documents. And I saved probably the most important piece for last. This purchase option will be different on every county and every different auction. Remember, on the auction websites, you had a lot of auctions to look at on that calendar. Well, if we want to know what auction this property's in, let's just click on the green button and it tells us it's on Real Foreclosure Online. It has the taxes due, and that's going to be the opening bid, and the listed parcel ID there. Basically, the next piece I care about are these links below where I have a link to register for the sale, one that tells me about the information about how to bid and things like that, and the tax information button, and then the auction list, which is key because that's going to take me to that site, to that auction where that property actually is. And if you noticed, the number here, 6822126, is the first property on the list. So there's the property in the February 6th auction, but I was able to find it a different way by using Parcel Fair search. And on that note, let's take a look and show you another example. Let's cut up to Cuyahoga County. We're going to clear out these search filters. There's 225 properties. Remember, these are scattered over, I don't remember how many auctions. Let's go see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 auctions this month, and one more next month. So at least 7 auctions that these are scattered across 225 properties. But I want to just look for properties that have improvements, which cuts it down to 171. That means there's a building or a structure on the property. Or maybe I just want to see vacant land. Let's flip it. Now there's 54 properties in my search. But go back to improvements. I'm going to put a minimum of, let's say, $50,000 for the total value. That took 100 properties out and got me down to 76 for that total value. And let's see if I can run that search. Now I'm down to 76 properties. Remember, I can either browse on the map like this, or I can browse on the right-hand side using the previews over here. So whichever way suits you. In fact, if you're looking at 76 properties in a big county like this, the first thing I would do is maybe take the map in the top left and turn off satellite view, because that contrast of all that really hides these properties. Now you'll notice they're still scattered all around. So again, you can look at the photos on the left, on the right, and click Find on Map, and that will take you to whichever property you are looking at over here. But you can also go to the parcel results at the top, and maybe you just want to see these in a grid and just cut off the map. Now I'm looking at them in one place, and I can even sort by total value. These column headings are clickable. The most expensive properties at the top now. I could also look at the lowest opening bid of $8,000 and go through the properties this way. If I want to just check it out, let's see, like this is a pretty low starting bid of $11,000. The valuation is at $55,000, so it seems like it might be one to pay attention to. I don't know why it's blurred out. I'm actually going to go to the panorama view and see why Google blurred it. Let's see if I can back the car down the street a little bit. Usually there's some kind of signage or something on the house that they don't want to personally identify, I guess. But I guess whatever it is on this house, they don't want to. Let's go this way. And now I can see the house from the corner. Let's try that one more time. So from one angle, I can see the house on Google. And it's still kind of blurry. There we go. All right, so there's probably some signs on this house that they don't want you to see. But that gives you a good idea of like what the situation of the property is. You can see it's on a corner lot in a nice neighborhood. And we know starting bid $11,000, total value $55,000. Probably one to pay attention to. And again, you can look at the GIS map or the assessor property map here if we want to find out more about this property. Actually, that's not going to take us to the property. They didn't have a link for that. So let's go. You can also see the purchase option. You can see the register for sale, tax information, and the auction list here. So that's another example of how you could do this. Is just go by the list this way and decide what you want to do or what's interesting enough for you to send a scout to or take some photos of. So there's a lot to look at there. And really, lastly, I'll just say let's look at all the counties right now, just what's available. We're adding counties every day. Literally every day there's more counties being added. And so if we want to look across the whole state, this is going to get larger over time. But let's look at $100,000 minimum. And right now we are searching across 2 months of auctions in the first 10 counties that we've added. And so that's 32 auctions in February and 13 more in March and 1 more in April. So we just searched across all of those auctions. And as more counties show up on Parcel Fair, you will really have a great search opportunity there. So you can, let's go back to satellite. Filter down to properties that really fit your strategy and what you want to buy. Again, it's a very appealing opportunity, these sheriff auctions, since they are no redemption. They do come at somewhat of a higher price if you're used to a tax lien auction. Those, you can get tax liens for sometimes hundreds or just a few $1,000s even. These are going to be no redemption tax deeds, and foreclosures are going to be a higher opening bid and therefore a higher winning bid as well. So I hope this was helpful for you. Again, Ohio, big opportunity here. A lot of folks have been asking for zero redemption states, and this is how we've been proceeding. We're working on some more states right now too, and trying to really balance out the experience for you so that you can research tax liens or tax deeds or land banks or foreclosures, and really just have all the options at your fingertips so you can dig into different states, different markets, and know all the ways to buy. So I think we'll close with that. And if you have some experience in Ohio and want to chime in, we have comments on the video are open. If you want to reach out to us and ask questions, we have a contact form on the website, or you can reach out in YouTube comments, that's fine. And if you have ideas or thoughts about this, please let us know. We're always want to start a dialogue and we can work through some of this together. And on that note, have a great week.